welcome once more to tonight's coverage of the Moonshiners Racing League. We're in our midst of our countdown to green tonight from the Last Great Colosseum, Thunder Valley, ready to roll with the O.B Builders Cup Series for tonight's running of the RAM Welding and Fabrication 300 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Happy to have you for tonight's coverage here on the Precision Production Network as we get ready to go racing for 300 laps. Justin Prince, Dawson Wise with your producer this evening is DJ Lyon, using cameras provided by Whiplash Sim Cams. Tonight, it's going to be fast, it's going to be rumbly, it's going to be difficult. It is a cutoff race, Dawson, to decide who goes to the round of 12.
Yeah, as it is, look, Bristol is an intense racetrack. It is close quarters. It is obviously where we see tempers flare so many times. But tonight it means just a little bit more, being a cutoff race with guys needing to get points, guys needing to get to victory lane to extend their season. It makes things just a little bit more intense than they would be otherwise. As we take a look at the grid, you see how close the margins are. With one new winner, we could have theoretically a single-digit gap between about 5 drivers in the field tonight. If one of those guys below the cut line were to win tonight's race, and oh, by the way, 2 stages, there are points available. Those 3 guys, Wortman, Shade, Wilson, could very easily point their way in as well. So much to be on your toes about. And oh, by the way, this is one of the closest quarters tracks on the schedule here in Bristol.
And many drivers struggle with practice earlier on tonight, getting ready to go from Bristol Motor Speedway. This concrete confine, ready to see drivers rip around the racetrack with banking around 26 to 30 degrees here at Bristol Motor Speedway. But a big change from previous builds. The track's gone from more of a top dominant line to a bottom dominant groove for much of the time. It's been described by some series drivers as a track that feeds to the bottom now, where it feels like PJ1's planted down almost, Dawson, you can describe.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, you know, being up here in the broadcast booth as well as behind the wheel myself at this racetrack in several different race cars, just how much this place changed over the past week and a half in terms of how it races. It's so interesting now to where earlier, you know, on the earlier scan of this racetrack, it felt like up near the wall was about where you wanted to be at all times, not only to go make moves, but also to defend your position. Now, it's almost shifted to the opposite, where the bottom and middle are superior. The outside, a little bit sketchy, not quite as fast. If you get pushed up there tonight, it may be very interesting and very tough to get your positions back as well. Shades of the race we saw here on Saturday night in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Should be an interesting night to say the very least. Still less than 2 minutes to go in the qualifying session here tonight. This track going to be very difficult to keep yourself clean at here tonight. Interestingly, with your race analysis, if it goes green, you can make it on fuel in any of the stages here, Dawson. As you said, though, especially with what happened in real life, tires is a different story on if drivers elect to try and roll the dice and see if they could come back from 2 down.
Yeah, now we are not going to see here tonight what we saw on Saturday night. Obviously, that is an extreme in terms of tire wear. But even, you know, last night I got an opportunity to call a race over in a different series. And within 40 laps of the green flag, we had seen fall off of 6, 7, 8 tenths on lap times for guys that were burning their tires to the front of the field. So tire management is a major portion of tonight's race. And you can make it on fuel, but you better hope you have a good strategy to manage a set of tires. Or it may be a little bit like Saturday night. You're having to come off cycle, get a set of tires in order to stay competitive. It'll be very interesting to see what the fall off is here tonight. Obviously being completely under the lights, the track conditions being a little bit different, that will factor in as well.
So it's going to be an interesting time here with those 5 tire sets here tonight for these competitors to figure out what will they do and where will the cautions fly. Again, our field going to be 25 cars deep here tonight for the cutoff race. And several of the drivers like Wilson and Shade, along with Wortman Jr., going to need to really put together some strong points efforts to want to get up to Brandon Fitterplace, who holds on to the cut line with those 10 points as we've seen earlier on in the show. But the show is about to get itself rolling. Drivers are finishing up qualifying right now for tonight. And not everybody, interesting enough, elected to set a time. Only 17 drivers put up times in the qualifying session. They now are making their way over to the starting grid here for this one. So we get ready for 3 pace laps to be able to get ourselves into a groove and ready to go here tonight. Here's your starting grid for the O.B. Builders Cup Series tonight. For the 14th time this season, Alex Coffey is on the pole. Barry Sanders will start next to him. One of the better efforts for Sanders in qualifying on the short tracks this season. Cabin Rough starts in third with Tim Wortman Jr. driving in the 83 from P4. P5 goes the way to Brandon Feder Place with Sean Rogers looking to the outside in 6, 2/10 off the pole. 7th goes the way of Kenny Coppola with Blaine Wilson looking to shine brightly in his neon-colored car in the 8th position. And rounding out your top 10, Corey Moore and Jose Medina, 3/10 off the pole, will start in the top 10, Dawson.
Back on row number 6, it will be Nick King. A new look for him tonight in the 11th position. And one of our playoff drivers that is not too safe above the cut line tonight, Brandon Bikey in the 12th position, 4/10 off the pole time. Back in 13th, Paul Gallimore in the 11 had a really strong effort last week in Gateway. Looking to continue that here on to Bristol with Chris Davis in the 74 to his outside in the 14th starting spot. Back on row number 8, it will be Johnny Shade. He's going to need to come forward from that 15th place position for Dick Esports. He'll start from 15th. It'll be Shane Wyatt, last week's winner at Gateway. He's locked into the round of 12. He'll start tonight from Bristol in 16th. Back on row number 9, it's Matt Cox in the Chicago Bears number 32 familiar colors. He'll go from 17th, the final car, notably to take a qualifying time. To his outside, it's the Aero Machine of Aaron Matthews. And rounding out the top 20, it'll be Warren Young in the 1 Machine on the inside in 19th. It's Greg Carr to his outside in the green and white, 25 in 20th.
21st goes the way of Kyle Holden. He'll switch to a Toyota tonight with Brian Curry making a start in the precision car. He'll start 22nd, shining purple. Then Nigel Christensen starts alongside Ryan Huff. Huff matching his car number. And Matt Mackin will look to start from the tail. Round out your field from Bristol. So once again, these drivers get ready to go. Your pole sitter once again brought to you by All About Sheet Metal. All About Sheet Metal, proud to be a sponsor here in Moonshiners in the O.B. Builders Cup Series, as Coffey once again picks up one of their pole awards. Real quickly here, Dawson, as we get ready to go here, what are some of your keys to victory here tonight?
Well, I think number 1, first and foremost, is going to be the tire management. We talked about it earlier, only 5 tire sets available total, and it is a long night. 300 laps is the same length the NASCAR Xfinity Series ran here on Friday night in the real-life NASCAR National Series. It's not a lot of tires for that many laps, the fall-off that we have seen. So I think tire management is number 1. I think number 2 is keeping your fenders clean and making sure you have a race car that can compete at the end of tonight's race. I think that's going to be crucial as well. Obviously, being a short track, there will be attrition. You have to stay on the right side of it. And finally, I think it's keeping a good mental state, not getting too frustrated. Bristol is a place that requires good rhythm. It requires composure. You're not always going to run a perfect line every single lap. It's very hard to do here at Bristol between the track and how tough it is by itself and the other drivers. And then keeping your mental in the right spot is going to be key as well.
So we'll see how tonight fares out. We're happy to have you with us on the Precision Production Network for this evening's action from Bristol Motor Speedway. All set to go for the start of the RAM Welding and Fabrication 300 at Bristol. Pace car drops off, field in the hands of Coffey and Sanders. Green, 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 we're underway from Bristol. Alex Coffey already off to a good start as they battle amongst the field. For second, Cabin Rough trying to shade up the high side. Having a hard time getting himself sorted as Sanders keeps planting at high side.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to watch how much, pinching we see early on. I saw it a lot last night. It's an effective way to run that middle lane, but The problem with it is you kind of get stuck there if you're in that middle lane. You really can't go forward from there is what I noticed. But you can definitely keep that guy occupied. Kevin Ruff got forward to second. Now the battle is behind them. Is on the move is Tim Wortman Jr. He's one of the drivers that needs to run well tonight. He's fourth right now on the speedway, pressuring Barry Sanders for the third position. And off into turn 3. Watch the 83 as well as the 45. A couple other cars as well that need good runs tonight. Wortman trying to be on the move early.
Right where he started right now, holds on to the bottom of the racetrack as fastest lap Kevin Ruff. Starting things off with the 15.1s compared to qualifying pace. Brendan Bikey elected to start this race from pit road though tonight. And right now Bikey running his pace. We have already a meatball flag that just popped up for Mackin as well. So something going on with the 01 machine as things get sorted out here.
And that's the number one place you don't want to be at the Bristol Motor Speedway is this kind of problem early. He's going to have to address this meatball flag, if you will. He'll have to come down pit road. It's essentially going to work as a black flag from race control that says you have too much damage. We're looking at it now, and yeah, that's significant contact with one of the playoff cars, Nigel Christensen, towards the tail of the field. So for Mackin and really for Christensen, I'm interested to see what the level of damage is on the 20 as well. The guy that's not safe. Here comes Mackin to address the meatball.
Yeah, and he's already stopping on the racetrack as a result here, so things not looking good for him at all as things get sorted out here. Some of the errors like Brandon Fitterplace, keeping an eye on the 34 machine. Right now, he's in a good spot, good qualifying effort, one of the better efforts for Q this season. Seems to be really dialed in tonight for Bristol for the Team Aero car.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that from a few of our playoff drivers tonight that have really nailed the early race setup in this one and are in a pretty good position right around actually where Fetterplace is running. I mean, we talked about Wortman already. Coppola there as well, so is Rogers. Corey Moore not far behind these guys, neither is Blaine Wilson. So a number of the playoff cars nailed it early, but they're going to need to continue to work on those race cars, make them better, and get winning speed. Pressure on for the lead. Coffey has backed the pace off just a little bit in the 54, and Kevin Ruff drove right up to the back bumper of him. He's brought Barry Sanders to the party with him. Not far behind them is Wortman, and he watches on. This is a big-time battle for Wortman. If one of these guys slips up, that's another valuable position for the 83 in the fourth position. As Coffey, he pulled away by about 0.8 of a second early, seemingly has backed it down now to manage his equipment. Here on lap 14, he has backed up to Kevin Ruff in the second spot.
Yeah, right now, this whole choo-choo train, no one willing to move off the bottom of the racetrack here. How difficult is it going to be to set up the move in the first place? Because Ruff seems to be quicker on the apex. Just cannot seem to get the chance yet. Oh, just answer my own question. Look at this end. Ruff nearly got there, but the caution is out. Caution is out for the first time tonight. Jose Medina is the wrong way around.
Yeah, right as Kevin Ruff had gotten to where he could make a move on the Alex Coffey machine, Medina goes for, at the very least, a spin. Looks like he's had an interaction with the inside wall as well as we head back to the RS Button Boxes replay. Medina running towards the mid-pack area right in front of Johnny Shade. Let's see if Shade gets a piece of this or if it's just a self-spin. It is a single-car spin for Medina. Gets the inside wall. I think the best thing for him is he hit pretty much square to the point he's not going to have a considerable amount of wheel damage or chassis damage to that race car. You'll see right here, he hits pretty much straight on. You think, well, of course you don't want to hit that hard, but again, pretty good luck there that he didn't hit with that left front wheel, or he'd be sitting in a similar position as Matt Mackin just was.
Now Medina likely going to have to spend a fair bit of time getting repairs done on the car. Of note, Mackin has parked it for the night, so the 01 is your first DNF of the evening. Nobody else electing to use any of their tire sets early on in this one, but so far it's been difficult to set up passes. I was about to say before that caution came out, Dawson. How are you in terms of setting up a pass here? What do you do to get a chance to make that dive to the inside or try and get that squeeze from the outside?
Well, it has to be planned out in advance and really you have to set it up over the course of at least one lap. I would say, you know, depending on how far back you are, a couple of laps, because you have to get to the bumper in front of you, and then you have to negotiate. Where can I make the dive to the inside? Where can I force that car to then have to defend me, go to a different line? Alex Coffey's been pretty loyal to the bottom so far. So how do I make him move out of his element, get out of where he's comfortable? You really have to set it up early, and I think you were seeing Cabin Ruff do it right there. Move a half a groove one way to get a better exit off the corner and get closer. Then when you get there, got to do the same thing. Get up about a half a groove, set up where you can slingshot your way down the straightaway, and about halfway down the straightaway, you want to be turning to the left, get to the left rear quarter panel, and make that driver in front of you enter the corner differently than they have. They'll either miss the corner, go up to the outside, which we said was sketchy, or you'll just dive to the inside. You'll have to battle them, and if Ruff continues to be that good in the apex, eventually he will pass the 54, but I think you saw him pretty much put on a clinic of how you have to set up passes here at Bristol.
So let's find out how things go as we come up to the Sim Wrap Market restart zone. It's our first restart of the night here for Bristol. Coming up to start, lap 20. Coffey chose the top, Coffey's off and away. And already, he's off to the bottom of the racetrack. Tim Wortman Jr. actually got a great start from the high side. He's up to second.
This was the driver
See that too. Kenny Coppola and the caution flag is out. The 77's up on the wall, and the front nose is shredded.
And this was mid-pack, actually towards the back half of the top 10. And I wouldn't be as worried about the nose. That left rear tire is immobile on the 77. He gets about as good a restart as the 83 of Wortman did. So really, this is going to be about top 5 on the racetrack. He had a little bit of help. Barry Sanders into the back of him as Coppola went to dive into the corner. He backed it in. Look at that left rear tire. It is off the axle. That is severe damage for Kenny Coppola.
Yeah, that car already hampered and having to let by several others on a pace line, it looks like. So 77 will lose a lap already. That's gonna that's why. The left rear is not even moving. Yeah, that car is killed. So, as he peels on down here, this is part of the challenge, right? Bristol's known for attrition, Dawson, and we're starting to already see it with 2 drivers with meatball flags already.
I talked about it at the start. To win here at Bristol, you need to have your fenders clean first of all. We've already had a few drivers, playoffs or otherwise, that is not going to be the case for them tonight. And looking, down into the points, it's not a done deal for several drivers, and Coppola's one of them coming into tonight plus 21. He could not afford this attrition early on. Plus 21 on the night. A couple of guys get stage points, and that gap could shorten up to as little as 11, depending on who gets what kind of points here. We could be talking about a 10-point gap, and all of a sudden Coppola with severe damage. He's 24th already off the pace and off the lead lap. We're talking about a very stressful evening that Coppola was looking to avoid. He was top 5 when that happened as they ran. Plus 30, plus 35 to the cut line. That vanishes in a heartbeat because Bristol, sometimes the track has other plans. It's already had other plans for several drivers. Coppola continues to sit on pit lane fixing that race car.
So we'll find out how this restart now plays out here as you already see your big movers in the lower corner of your screen. Kyle Holden already up 8, in fact, up to 13th. Brian Curry up about 7. Nick Kane 6, along with Shane Wyatt. Ryan Huff also amongst those in that respective club amongst the many shufflers. Those shuffle as we pace along, but we're coming up to the Sim Wrap Market restart zone. This time through, it's Coffey, it's Wortman Jr. on the front row. Green flag is out, we're back underway.
I'll tell you this, and this is something I noticed the last couple weeks between Gateway and Darlington. Alex Coffey had been a little bit off kilter on restarts. So far, so good. 3 starts, 3 really good jumps for the 54 in that Dig Esports machine. He's been really on it tonight. You wonder if he's worked on that. because he has to work on things for the round of 12, but he's got company out back. Tim Wortman Jr. wants the race lead early at Bristol, and he's going to go to the outside to do it. The first driver to test the outside, he'll make the pass up there. New leader at Bristol, Wortman Jr., and trouble out back again.
And it's a stack up this time. Look out, 28's going the wrong way. Kane's in the wall as well. And chaos is reigning supreme here tonight. Boy, it started for the battle for fifth. Brennan Fetter plays. Got collected. RS Butterbox replay. And when I say collected, I mean he was collecting Pokemon cards. Here's a card. You get the bumper, you take it off the bumper, and you crash.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Bristol there. It's about as classic as it gets. You get to the guy in front of you, and when he drops down, you said, nope, you're not going to be clear. You're trying to come down across my nose, and I'm trying to go forward. And unfortunately, right there, Nick King gets the bat into that. Another car up ahead, and you mentioned a couple of others getting involved in the stack up in the secondary as well. Looks like Paul Gallimore may have gotten a piece of that also in the 11.
Yeah, significant rear end damage with the 12 machine to the spoiler, as he will have to get some repairs done to that race car. Obviously, Paul Gallimore can confirm did get a piece of it because he is in pit road with rear end damage also. So here's the 28. Oh, bit of a stack up, as you said. 28's lucky he didn't roll it into the traffic there coming back across the track. And so, cautions breed cautions here, Dawson. Let's take a look at the 11, as he actually lost it up high trying to avoid King.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what the deal was here with Gallimore when he tries to get through this. We're going to actually go on board with him. It's the best look we'll get, because you're right, he kind of just gets loose on corner exit. Well, is it more getting loose? I think he's actually in the brakes right there, and it kicks the rear end around. That's just how hard. I think he was standing on his brake pedal, and it got him kicked out of shape and down into a couple other cars there that end up getting involved. So, man, more playoff cars having some problems early in this one. Bristol Motor Speedway not being kind to the playoff field here in the O.B. Builders Cup Series so far tonight.
Let's find out how this fares out on the restart. Coming up to complete 30 laps this time through Simrat Market Restart Zone, we'll see Wortman Jr. and Coffee on the front row. Wortman Jr. choosing the top this time. That's the first time up at the front after 25 lead laps to start for car 54. Here we go on the restart. Green, 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 and we're back underway.
Man, just as good a start as Coffee got last time is what Wortman got, but Wortman missed turn one, and Alex Coffey's going to go right on by in the 54 as out back, starting to make moves. Blaine Wilson, one of our other playoff cars below the cut line, starting to make some hay. He's up to fifth, right in front of Fetter Place, as a couple of others out back try to follow him to the front. That'd be a big point gain for Blaine Wilson. It would make several guys very, very nervous on that cut line here going forward.
Top's really starting to get rubbered in. You know why? Kyle Holden's now made 2 passes up on the high groove, ready to make some more. He is ripping the top and is just blistering by cars right now. All for the race lead. Wortman Jr. just seen that and moved up too. Race lead is on again. Who needs tires when you can lead? Wortman Jr. takes it back.
Well, you have to be more aggressive if you're Tim Wortman Jr. or if you're Blaine Wilson here because of the point situation that you unfortunately are in coming into this race. You don't have much of a choice, where Alex Coffey and a few others just aren't racing for that much in terms of their point situations. Coffey already advancing the round of 12 after 2 weeks ago. Wortman has to feel like he's going to be more aggressive and wants to go get an extra stage point, wants to get 10. That would bring his deficit down into single digits, depending on where other guys finish this stage. And that would be a big turnaround, a big 360 for this playoff field that we did not expect coming in. Wortman is now driving away just a little. 4/10 is the lead. Kyle Holden has settled into third, He made a few passes, but now he's gone to the bottom and he's managing his stuff right behind Alex Coffey. That's interesting to me. Guys are using the top, but using it only when they have to make a pass.
Meanwhile, Johnny Shade of Unso still trying to stick to the bottom of the racetrack, getting passed by the 24 of Huff. In fact, one of the drivers that needs to figure out points right now is slipping back and needing to get composed here. Right now, Johnny Shade is one of the few drivers that hasn't gotten themselves at least some positive ground here so far tonight. Right now, it seems like he is just trying to battle with the car. Same can be said for Matt Cox, who elected to start on the back. You know why, Dawson? You know what his qualifying time was? 4 minutes and 31 seconds. He spent more time trying to fly off victory lane than qualifying the car.
Yeah, it's a very interesting qualifying time. Nearly 3 times the qualifying lap time for an IMSA race over at Daytona in the IMSA road cars, and it's 4 minutes here at Bristol. That's obviously a number that stuck out a little bit to me as well. Cox was in a good points position coming in tonight, did not have to start up front and be super aggressive, so I guess you were in the realm to be able to do that, but still very interesting to see that number up on the timing screen. Another car jumping to the outside. Warren Young going to use that line now as he makes a couple of passes. This one on Moore in that all gold 19. New look for him this week as well. Moore is going the wrong way also. There's a few playoff cars, whether by choice or otherwise, that are going the wrong way and going the wrong way in a hurry. Shade, Moore, there are a couple of others towards the front of the pack as well, just going the wrong direction in the field. Again, whether that's by decision to manage or whether it's completely involuntary. Maybe they just don't have the car right now at this stage in the race.
Yeah, right now we'll have to see if they're able to find the long run rhythm already. Some of the drivers 0.4 of a second fall off. Green flag laps turned so far tonight. Brian Curry, after his spin, able to at least bounce up 10 from where he started, despite being pushed the wrong way, showcasing some of the speed he's got tonight. But it's one of those tracks where it's so important to just maintain a rhythm in the first place to be able to be good on the long run, Dawson. We're seeing a lot of these drivers just trying to maintain that pressure on some of these competitors, but the most you can do is just turn lap after lap. A lot of work in the arms.
Yeah, and really no 2 laps are the same here at Bristol either. There's just not a lot of grip. You get, a half a foot off the groove that you ran the last lap, it probably will feel a lot different coming off the corner. Maybe the car snaps a little looser than it did the last lap before that, or maybe it pushes just a little bit out towards the outside wall. As we go through a run, the tires get older, the track wears in, the track changes tonight as we go as well. So there's a lot of factors that are special to Bristol because of just how many times we're running around the groove of each corner, to where the track conditions are going to change, your car is going to change, the tires are obviously going to wear. No 2 laps are the same, and that's what makes it so tough. Where other places, and zone out's the wrong term. I don't think you ever zone out at a racetrack. You see Wyatt right there. That's exactly what I was talking about. On the bottom of the straightaway, snapping a little bit looser than he was just a moment before. Zone out's not the right term, I think, but some tracks you get into enough of a rhythm that you don't really think about it, to where every 2 laps are not really the same. You get to a point, okay, that corner's going to drive but mostly the same as I did when I come off the corner. Great example here with Rogers. Just watch when his line changes a little bit, just how differently his throttle inputs are, or how differently he exits the corner right there. Snaps a little bit loose because he was about a half a groove lower. So you just can't zone out like you can maybe at other tracks. You can't space out and think, all right, I know how this place is going to drive, because Bristol doesn't. Every time you go through a corner, it's different.
Requires a lot of activity, absolutely, here. Seeing that just with even the throttle points. You stab the throttle too hard around here, this car is going to go slippy sliding all the way out the corner. So much on the balance just to be able to make sure you're in a groove. Absolutely here tonight. By the way, the top 17 separated by 6 seconds. Some of the drivers towards the back of the grouping, like King, battling at the back of the main pack. Matt Cox on the bottom, but Nick King, he's been so far, fighting to recover spots, nearly win, and nearly jump the cushion into the marbles. Right now, you can see Kane, at the very least, when he sets a good line, is able to make passes here, but it's so easy to push too hard in the corner, Dawson, and go up in those marbles, almost described as the dust in real life last weekend.
Well, and the tough part of it is, and I kind of got into this earlier, is on the previous scan of this racetrack, which was mostly unchanged for a couple of years here on the iRacing service, a lot of us got used to kind of driving it in a diamond formation. You see a lot of guys do this in the real cars across all the series, driving in kind of in the middle, letting the car roll out to the wall, and then cutting down, driving it hard down the hill, off the corner, and kind of launching off the corner. You can't drive it like that anymore. With this new scan, it's not fast to go all the way up into the marbles, up by the outside wall. It's just not very profitable to you anymore to be up that far. So guys have had to relearn lines as well. So some habits die hard. You see guys kind of go in there and start to roll towards the wall, have to kind of catch it. That can be a habit thing, as to where, you know, a week ago or 2.5 weeks ago, you were probably driving this place differently than you've had to tonight. I think that's the case for several drivers so far. You've had to watch them relearn it. I think that's a big part of it. And also, just in this next-gen race car, the tires slide so easily off into the corner. Those front tires can get up the racetrack. It's very easy to kind of lose the front end and get up there towards the wall higher than you want to be. There's a couple factors, I think, that go into that. On a note of a driver moving forward that's kind of figured some things out, Johnny Shade was back behind 15th, 16th, 17th position. He's up to 13th now, 2 above where he started, and catching a couple more cars. He's going to be in the conversation potentially for some stage points here in the next 20 laps.
Yeah, we are quickly approaching that mark, absolutely, here. So we'll see if Shade's able to pick off these spots. He's got Warren Young, Bryant Curry, Aaron Matthews, for example. He'd have to pass amongst those to be able to get to the stage points, to get to the top 10 at least. You can see the playoff standings to remind you once again. Right now, Shade is in a -11 situation. Fitter Place would right now be in the stage points, would gain a couple points on the cut line at least, if things were to stay stable. Wortman Jr., with the way he's driving, though, completely changes how that cut line can go, as Ryan Huff just came down and got a black flag, so the 24 is having issues here.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see with Wortman running up front, with Fetter Place starting to feel the slightest bit of heat here from Aaron Matthews and Warren Young in 10th and 11th. If Fetter Place drops out of the points, yes, the cut line is going to radically change, because not only is Wortman going to get potentially 10 stage points, still 15 laps to go to hold on for Wortman for the stage win, but there's a potential Blaine Wilson could pick up 5 or more stage points in the 18 machine. He is currently the closest driver to the cut line. That would pull the gap, as they run on track right now, down to 7 points between he and Brandon Fetter Place on the cut line. Fetter Place drops anymore. Blaine Wilson picks up a spot or 2 before the end. We're talking about a 5-point deficit, potentially, with still another stage to go. In a really good spot right now for Wortman and Blaine Wilson to make some things interesting with some playoff drivers above the cut line. They may have thought they were a little more safe than they actually are.
But here's the thing, too. If Wortman Jr. holds on throughout this race for the victory, and it's the mighty if still, there is absolutely the potential Sean Rogers becomes that cutoff driver instead, because that would plop Wortman Jr. up towards the top by the end of the cutoff and propel him out of there. So there's so much at stake, depending on how things fare out. By the way, Kyle Holden is pushing hard. He is one of the fastest cars to the racetrack right now. Lost a little bit of ground last time trying to make a move on Coffee, but he has been ripping around the track. Lap traffic parks it in front of Wortman Jr. A little bit of a checkup as Christensen cuts the stack up.
I can't imagine you're very happy there if you're Wortman Jr. trying to hang on and get a couple of extra stage points that maybe you would have gotten before, and that brings Alex Coffey and Kyle Holden to his back bumper now. There's a fourth car starting to draw into this as well. Kevin Ruff's not too far back in the 14 either if these guys get side by side. And Wortman now, he's going to actually roll up, try to defend it a little bit. Coffee trying to roll the top, but Kyle Holden rolling the bottom on the 54. Coffee to the inside of Wortman, and Holden says, whichever line goes, that's probably where I'm going to go. And it's the top. It's Wortman again. He defends Coffee for now. They'll stay side by side with 9 laps to go in stage 1. Holden is there, and Ruff is closing in. He just may not have enough laps to get into this battle.
Right now, will there be any slip-ups here? Coffee parks it in front of Holden's nose, forces the check up. Holden now offset side by side for a moment. He's got the chances to poke, and he's letting it roll center to poke, but nothing solidified yet. Will anything happen amongst these battles here as Wortman Jr. now gets a buffer with Coffee having to defend?
Yeah, but he's running the middle and the top lane to have to do it, and it is shredding the tires on the 83. I think that's why these two have even gotten in the battle in the first place. Big time run off turn 4 there for Holden. The closest he's been, he's halfway clear. Oh, he can almost taste it. He was almost clear, and Coffee's going to let him have it here into turn 3. Coffee not racing for as much, and Wortman now has to go on defense against a guy I think that has better tires, and also has been able to roll both lines better in the late run than Wortman has. Here's the battle for the lead on the inside. Holden on the outside. Wortman has been able to really do some good work defending. Can he defend on Kyle Holden though? 4 to go in stage 1. They almost make contact there at the start-finish line.
Force Wortman Jr. up the racetrack. Holden rolls the bottom. Still trying to make some pokes. The Team Aero car now switches up to the high side. He used that diamond line once or twice already this run. Now Wortman Jr. way up high. Side by side, coming at 2.5 laps to go. Can Holden make the bottom work? Can Wortman Jr. defend up high side? 2 to go.
And this is really good defensive work by Wortman so far. Not running too high, being able to pinch Holden down. This is the closest Holden's been. They'll drag race down the back straight away. Wortman just needs a pair of really good corners here to defend it, but Holden is adamant that he's going to get that spot. Into 1 and 2 again, they'll battle. Wortman's gotten really good exits throughout the long run of this race. It may come down to a drag race off 2.
Coming up to the green, white checker flag. Holden scrape paint. Wortman Jr. tries to get the launch off the corner, but it's Kyle Holden who steals away the stage. Tim Wortman Jr. coming away in second. Coffee, Ruff, Sanders, Wilson, Rogers, Wyatt, Cox, and Fetterplace are your top 10 as Kyle Holden goes up 20 spots on the way to securing the stage.
Man, that was really good work by Holden there to make the outside work, but also make passes on the bottom. That car works anywhere he puts it right now. Probably the only car in the field, I think, that has both lines where he can just put that car anywhere, and it's still fast.
Take a quick break. We come back. We'll see how things fare out. You're watching tonight's coverage of the RAM Welding and Fabrication 300 on the Precision Production Network. Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's action as we have a little bit of a change up here. Guess what? Half the field pit when pit road opened. It's a tight squeeze with the time of the pace car. Half the field, particularly the front half, Dawson, did not pit until the second wave. So Brendan Fetterplace is now your control car for the SimRap Market Restart Zone. This field has completely been shuffled. We're backing away.
And this was very interesting to watch in real time as Fetterplace is off to the races. It's really interesting to watch this happen in real time because I saw the back half of the field come to pit road and the leaders had stayed out. It confused me in the moment, but I just didn't make anything of it until we realized the leaders were pitting later. And around came Fetterplace and Matthews and Chris Davis and Corey Moore, a couple of others that just capitalized on, you know, I'm not even sure we characterize that as a mistake or a timing issue or something on iRacing's behalf. But now Wortman, Coffey, many of the leaders, Kyle Holden, they are stuck in traffic that they were not in just a moment ago. It could have been a lot worse. I thought they were going to be back towards about 14th, 15th. They're actually just inside or outside the top 10. But they have more work to do than if they were up front in the control car. Wortman is on the move. He's on a mission right now, that 83, up on the outside. He's gained a few spots already, and he is rolling the top side of the racetrack, passing cars left and right.
He's not passing any cars right now, trying to use that top line, but he is pushing hard off the corner exit. Remember, this stage goes up to lap 170. To 170 is your distance. We'll see how things really shake up. This is a big spot, meanwhile, though, if you're Brennan Bikey in particular here, Dawson, because he was towards the back. One of the drivers not locked in yet. He's had a bit of a rough night. Now he's got track position, but he's getting past.
Yeah, and this is the week where, oh, man, car on the wall. That was Holden. And Wortman, I think, followed him in as well. So a couple cars there. That was almost a big moment for Bikey as they both got the fence. Man, Kyle Holden is hanging on to it right now, just outside of Brandon Bikey. I think this is where you could say that previous events, if you will, have kind of put you in a tough spot because Bikey is not clearly, does not yet have the speed. Oh, trouble. Around goes Wortman. He's going to get turned in the back straightaway, and we're going to have a crash, and it's one of the playoff drivers in our almost our stage winner, man. Coffey, Matthews are also loose. Goodness, cars with big time damage here. Looks like Wortman may have escaped, though, pretty well unscathed in the 83.
Caution flag is out once again on the speedway. Front nose is crushed. Yeehaw, indeed, if you look at the nose. Just absolutely crushed from the contact right here. Spins him off with the RS Button Boxes replay. Hits the inside wall. Significant front nose and left rear damage. Just got loose.
I mean, it's the same thing we saw earlier as well. We've seen a couple of these incidents already. And I think you actually mentioned it as well, where you punch the throttle, you get out of line, your car gets upset, and you spin to the inside. We've seen it a couple times already. Wortman was pushing. We had just talked about it. May have just stabbed the throttle a little too early. It got around. Now he's got damage. He has to negotiate as well. Man, look at Coffey and Aaron Matthews behind him was in the same spot. They almost had a disaster of their own there after the caution had already come out.
A little bit sketchy there, and interesting enough, some of the drivers towards the front, like Aaron Matthews and Sean Rogers, are coming down here. They had some track position, not now, and you mentioned Matthews with a loose moment. Looks like he's getting the car fixed or something as a result of what happened on the slide. That would explain the reasoning there. Sean Rogers, it's a whole different story, possibly, when it comes to his car. But still, Brandon Fetterplace is up front. Not looking too shabby up front, at least so far. You see some of the others in pit road.
Yeah, I mean, you got a good start, which is a really big deal here at Bristol because it forces those guys behind you to then put serious pressure on their tires to try to get back to you, where you can just back up. We saw Alex Coffey, I think, was the best example of it earlier. Drove away by 6 or 8 tenths and then was able to really back off and manage, kind of let those guys come back to him and then go from there and manage his stuff accordingly. Fetterplace was in a similar spot. This is a big second stage for Brandon Fetterplace. If he can capture 10, 9, even 8 stage points here and hold on to a top 3 stage finish, he completely reflips the cut line. Right now, as they run, I believe the gap is down to -6 and -8 for Blaine Wilson and Wortman, respectively. With their stage finishes, Fetterplace could flip that right back on its head right here in stage 2.
Green flag is out, back and away from the Simrat Market restart zone. Better place, able to control things. Chris Davis, right now trying to see how things play out. I know there was some people saying, oh, he should be interviewed here today, saying you volunteered. It got very chippy, to say the very least. Let's just say that. He also spent much of his qualifying posing for pictures in victory lane as he goes for the lead.
Hey, getting practice potentially for later on in the night if he can make that drive up the ramp to Bristol Motor Speedway victory lane. And he's going to get a spot here. Try to, and the wall goes to 74. Fetterplace back alongside. One car coming off the pit lane as well as these two battle. Corey Moore's in this conversation as well. Another playoff car. As Outback Bikey's under fire. Alex Coffey, Kevin Ruff, Blaine Wilson, welcome back to the party. A couple of others behind them as well. As Fetterplace, this is not where you want to be if you're the 34. Now in danger of losing back-to-back spots. Under fire for third from Bikey, and Fetterplace going the wrong way here in a hurry. Almost got the bumper from the 27 there on the entry of the corner behind Corey Moore, who we see right here. All of a sudden, he's having a good run as well.
So far, so decent when it comes to Moore. Gold torque is what he calls this paint scheme, and right now he's looking to see if he can get the gold medal for, well, racecraft and winning races, stuff like that. We'll say some of the fellow dig cars, though, are trying to rip the bottom like coffee. Right now holds on to top 5 in front of Kevin Ruff. You also have Blaine Wilson in line. So right now you see just not too much slippy slide. Just as I say that, Brandon Bikey slips and slides. This will cost him a spot. Some of these drivers are getting uber loose with the throttle movements, Dodson, I'm noticing, where if you're too sharp on the throttle, your car's not going to stay sharp on the corner exit.
Well, it comes down to drivers trying to find speed where they can get it, and I think you're seeing that now as drivers trying to experiment how early can I get back in the gas to gain some time, pick up 100th here, 100th there, just to give me an advantage over the drivers around me. I think you're seeing drivers do that in real time right now. Some guys that are running the bottom, but mostly it's the guys that move up to the middle lane, just trying to see where they can gain an advantage passing a car. You see Blaine Wilson's up there now. His teammate last week's winner, Shane Wyatt's going to come with him up on the outside as they both go by Bikey. I'll tell you this is a dire position for Brandon Bikey. It is very clear the speed is just not under the hood of that race car tonight for BMP. He's going to need to have something happen later in the race like what we just did with the strategy for the 27 to be in a good enough spot to feel pretty good about his point situation. He was not guaranteed coming into tonight's race by any means, and he is going the wrong way in a hurry. He's back to the 8th position. Meanwhile, Coffey got by Fetterplace. Kevin Ruff gets by Brandon Fetterplace. And now Fetterplace is in a similar position. He's on the downslide now, all the way back to 5th for the 34.
Right back to where he started this race. Great car. He's now moving his way forward with Curry losing the bottom. One of the drivers that runs in CRM Performance Equipment inside the series. Not really afraid to push too many buttons here in the first to engage car. 11 spots gained so far tonight. Pressing the buttons and not afraid to press into people's bumpers.
Well, and that's the attitude you have to drive with when you're at the Bristol Motor Speedway. You got to be willing to get a little bit dirty, and I'm not saying that in the way that you're going to race somebody poorly and really, get into somebody a couple different times or spin somebody out. But, when this racing happens, when it's kind of one groove and everybody's down along the bottom of the racetrack, you got to be willing to put the bumper to somebody just enough to move them up out of the groove, make them pay the price, go on by for the spot, and move your way forward. And we've seen so far cars been one of the most likely to be willing to do that. It's paying off right now, man. Big hit to the wall there as we look at Warren Young. Matt Cox got it behind him as well. Cox starting to work his way forward, 32, same with Warren Young. Both guys on the upswing as well from where they started. Young +8, Cox +5. Curry behind them +9 as he continues his recovery from earlier.
Yeah, a lot of shuffling throughout the night as a result of things earlier on, absolutely. Warren Young running different look here tonight. Trying to be Dale Jr., you can argue, with the paint scheme. Right now up the 8 positions so far tonight. Also in a Chevy, so we'll see how Young plays things out. He's had speed off and on this season, Dawson. Tonight looks somewhat solid, just outside the top 10.
Well, in a long race to go, the car will obviously change as the course of the runs go on. You'll be making adjustments on that race car in the pits, but the track will change as well. We'll continue to see the grooves get a little bit different just as we go and as rubber gets laid down. So Warren Young, maybe this car comes to him in about 70 laps time and he kind of gets a few more spots right now. Catching cars in front of him. Holden, Carr, Fetterplace, who's about to lose another spot. That's the battle for 8th for Brandon Fetterplace as he falls to the 9th position, trying to defend it from Greg Carr. Kyle Holden's right there as well. And from leading the race in a really favorable position to this is not good if you're Brandon Fetterplace right now. Because of the cars running in front of him, especially Blaine Wilson, this is almost worst case scenario for Fetterplace. You could argue it could get worse. That car was crashed, but it does not get much worse than this, seeing potential stage points starting to fade here for the 34 as Wilson drives up through the field.
Yeah, right now, these drivers just trying to so far set the tone, so to speak. Chris Davis, mind you, up by almost 1 second already. On the distance, Fetterplace getting loose in the background there. Here he spun it out, trying to keep it alongside the 32 of Cox. And now drops back a couple spots. So Fetterplace not keeping these spots like he was hoping with the track position gifted. It's not working. Chris Davis is taking advantage of it, though.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly where you want to be if you're Chris Davis coming into this race and being in the position that he was in as well. I think this is exactly how he wanted it to play out, with the problems to some guys behind him in the point standings, and knowing he came into the night plus 27, no better feeling than running out front, staying in front of that, right? And kind of being able to control your own race. He's slowly being caught, though. Kevin Ruff is getting to him just a little bit here. He's about 8 car lengths back right now off turn 2 with 40 to go in the stage, but as of now, Davis enjoys a comfortable lead, and considering the points implications going on behind him, obviously he would like to continue to see that lead, maybe get himself a bit of a buffer to the cut line here at the end of stage 2.
Yeah, right now we're seeing how things separate out. Kevin Ruff looking for a bit of an upset here tonight. Chris Davis, mind you, up 27 on the cut line coming in. Ruff entered tonight. Well, not one of the playoff drivers, but you can argue he should have been one of the drivers potentially on speed this season, especially since Jeffrey Taylor hasn't attended any of the races. The 14 absolutely could have been a threat to move on here if they were in the right points position at the end of the regular season.
Well, he's had good speed here in these first 3 races of the playoffs as well, so I think that's a great point. This would be a much more interesting, and it already is very interesting, but add another car in Ruff that's been fast at all 3 tracks, and I think this would have been a really nail-biting Wednesday night for some guys around the cut line in the points with how Ruff is running in this race as well. You saw those standings up on the screen. Remember, those are not the current numbers. Blaine Wilson, I think, has pulled this to within 6 points of Fetterplace. And the even more important factor right now, Kenny Coppola has called a night here in 24th. He was only 21 above the line before the stage results and did not receive, I don't think he received any stage points at the end of stage 1. As of now, Wilson overtakes him in points. Wortman would have. He's now 5 laps down as well. So a couple of playoff cars experiencing some problems. Fetterplace now potentially has a path to point his way in, even if he doesn't get stage points right here, as the battle will become between him and potentially Kenny Coppola rather than him and Blaine Wilson.
right now, still keeping an eye on how these battles play out. Some of them see Feather Place indeed sailing all the way to 14th. Does not have the long run speed of the car tonight. Curry just trying to find some rhythm here. Gonna pick off more spots. We also have some battling up the road. Some of the drivers like Matt Cox and Kyle Holden too. Kyle Holden, he's yet again charging. He's definitely got a long run car here, Dawson, because this is where he really seems to make his way through this traffic.
Well, and this will pay off more, I think, in stage 3 if he can keep the track position, because obviously this stage is, Ian, you still got 30 laps in it. We saw this car come alive in the last 20 or 25 laps of stage 2, but I think if this race gets into a long green flag run to go to the conclusion, once we get into that longer stage 3, I think you'll really see Kyle Holden take over with this race car. He has just nailed the setup on the long run tonight. He has been pretty far and away the best car in the long run, I think, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, he's driving away right now from Matt Cox. Middle groove has worked really well for him on the long run. He's running really good lap times up there as well. Meanwhile, out back, a car going the wrong way, and I just mentioned this points battle, is Blaine Wilson. In a battle right here with Greg Carr, trying to get the 7th spot. Wilson goes from 6th to 8th here in the span of a couple laps, and now he may be in danger of losing out on points, depending on, how much these guys behind him, Brandon Bikey, Shane Wyatt, a couple of other cars catch him here in the final 25 laps. Wilson's on the downturn now, trying to hold on just to get a few points. But again, I don't know if he's battling the 34 Fetter Place anymore. I think they're both battling the Kenny Copeland machine in the garage.
Yeah, right now, seeing things heat up for the race lead, though. Ruff, last time through, was a little bit quicker than Davis. Davis starting to fall off as this run progresses now. Will Ruff find a way to the inside here to take away this spot? Davis isn't giving too much space right now with the way he's handling the middle of the racetrack.
Again, pretty good example of defense here. We saw it earlier with Wortman. I think you're seeing it again here with Davis. And actually running about a half a groove lower is taking more space away. You don't want to go higher than that if you're Kevin Ruff. You don't want to get up in the marbles. You don't want to go lower than that. There's not really room to put your car there. So there's really nowhere for Ruff to go to get around the 74 right now. He's faster. It's pretty obvious to me. He is the faster of these two race cars, but he just can't go anywhere. Now he's going to get an opportunity to drop to the bottom and at least get alongside Davis. And Davis may have missed his entry just a little bit there, which allowed Ruff alongside. Davis able to defend. Meanwhile, out back, Alex Coffey coming in a hurry in the 54. Kyle Holden coming in a hurry in the 88. And a brand new player to the lead conversation. The 32 of Matt Cox is all of a sudden P5. And catching the 4 leaders in front of him, the Chicago Bears Ford is working his way into the battle for the lead as well.
Plus 17 for Cox here tonight. Or for Holden right now, I should say. Plus 12 for Cox is the way things shuffle at the moment. Remember, plus 20 was the total earlier for Holden on the racetrack. But Coffey is also reeling in the leaders. Last time by was a 10th quicker than them. On the average, he has also been up to nearly 2 tenths quicker. For the past 10 laps, Ruff is changing his line. Ruff is now trying that high line, and Davis responds with a block.
Yeah, Chris Davis, this is about as good as it gets on defense right here as he tries to pick up a stage win and really give himself a little more comfortable points buffer to the end of the race. Man, he is throwing it right on the front nose of Kevin Ruff. Not a lot of real estate. Ruff is pressing the issue, trying to get the outside. Doesn't work right there, and we are stacking cars behind the leader, Chris Davis. Coffey to the inside of Ruff. That's for second. Ruff will defend that off for now, and it's 5 cars under a blanket for the stage win here in stage 2. Holden to the inside of Coffey as Corey Moore, Greg Carr, and the others behind them start to reel this pack in from 6th on back. It's going to get really sketchy here in just a minute for the stage win as Kyle Holden's on the move in the 88.
This whole pack is starting to accordion together. Holden just made the move on Coffey. Cox looking to do the same. Here comes Holden. The 88 looking for second. Ruff trying to defend. Davis now playing both lanes. Holden's got more roll in it, though, coming up to 12 laps to go on the stage.
I don't think Chris Davis has the car to hold off Kyle Holden right here. He is running really good lap times on the bottom of the racetrack, even despite Davis running that defensive middle lane. Look at how well that car turns in the center of the corner. They drag race down the backstretch. He's going to turn right through the center. No contest unless Davis can hang on the right rear quarter. He can for a moment. Matt Cox is into this as well. He's passed Coffey for fourth. He passed Ruff now for third. And new leader, it's Kyle Holden. That car is really dialed in here at the end of stage 2. It is cornering better than anybody in the field. Cox trying to get Davis for second, get himself a nice stage finish as Holden has checked out on the guys behind him.
Team Aero Machine doing what it needs to do. All this as well. The BMP car of Cox looks for second and takes second away. So the 32 has now gone 15 spots up. After not doing well in the first stage, really, he's now really flying this second stage. Less than 10 laps to go on the stage.
Battle between Davis and Coffey now. Chris Davis, he did a really valiant job for 30 or 40 laps, holding off cars behind him. He's just not able to hold off the guys now who have better long run cars. They've gotten past him, and now the downslide will be quick. As Kevin Ruff may give him a little shot there in turns 3 and 4, trying to get around him as Greg Carr is in the party. Corey Moore is here as well, so add another couple of cars to this as Chris Davis starts to backslide towards the back end of the top 10 late in the stage.
See just how much the fall off really has hit some of these drivers absolutely here. But Matt Cox is right now turning a little bit quicker than Holden, but is it going to be enough here to even get to the bumper? Coming up to 5 laps to go. Matt Cox, the highest in points coming in, not locked in via victory. He's just been able to fly through this field here tonight. And now, stays it by lap traffic. Seems to be in a good spot to basically make it where it be a virtual lock to the next round if it's not already.
Yeah, it was pretty close, obviously, at this point in the race to that when we came into tonight. But now, obviously, if he receives 9 stage points right here, may even get 10, by the way. He's put some pressure on Kyle Holden towards the end of this second stage where he could maybe get a 10th stage point. Or into the realm of you might as well go ahead and highlight that name in yellow to move on to the round of 12. He has come on really strong at the end of stage 2 here. He rode around 17th or worse. He may very well get the stage 2 win. Just a lap to go in the stage. He's putting some pressure on Kyle Holden here as Holden tries to hold on to sweep the stages.
Holden was quicker last time by, though. Green, white checkered this upcoming time by. 1 to go in stage number 2. Lap traffic not going to play a factor as Kyle Holden has had the long run car of the night. He runs high, wide, and handsome, bowls away even faster. Only half a second to fall off on the way to a stage victory. Matt Cox, Alex Coffey, Chris Davis. Once the top 5, Greg Carr, Captain Ruff, Corey Moore, Brendan Bikey, Blaine Wilson, Sean Rogers. Your top 10 as the stage caution comes out, and the field's going to have to respond immediately. Holden, I think, is going to pass pit road here.
Yeah, Matt Cox hits it, but, is really quick on entry for the 32. So guys figured it out that time. Well, Kyle Holden didn't, but most of the guys behind him did and are able to get to pit road this time so they don't reflip the field. But some guys missed it. Holden and Kevin Ruff appear to have missed it. That's a tough break. Gallimore stays out as well. A couple other cars are going to stay out behind them. Gallimore, Shade, and others here. Interesting.
We'll take this to a side-by-side. You're watching tonight's coverage of Moonshiners in the O.B. Builders Cup Series here on the Precision Production Network. Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's coverage of MRL. The RAM Welding and Fabrication 300 here at Bristol Motor Speedway continues on. Our third stage, go to the end. 125 laps that distance. Simrat marking a restart zone time. Matt Cox pit along with the majority of the field. Kyle Holden did not get going into pit road until the second wave. So he's in the back. We're back underway. Holden swept the stages, Dawson, but again, starts off in 11th on the restart in the middle of the field.
Yeah, but I don't think that's too much of a disaster, honestly, in terms of how good that car has been on a long run and with a longer final run to the end. Again, barring any yellow flags in this final stage, I think Holden will benefit still from having a really good long run car to where he just has to let the thing come to him, and he'll be able to drive back through the field and get the spots back that he lost, especially if he can make up some spots on the early short run. I'm surprised Matt Cox got away with how fast he was on the entry of pit road. I thought that maybe he was a little bit over the speed limit, but apparently not quite. He managed to get it down under the pit road pace. And a couple of their cars had really good pit stops. Brandon Bikey 4th, Blaine Wilson 5th. Sean Rogers, saw him earlier pit on that one of those cautions kind of off sequence. He's 7th. Warren Young 8th into the top 10. So a number of guys had really good pit stops that are now in a really good position. Chris Davis was another one. So guys had good stops there. Maybe a change in strategy as well to try to get on the right side of it. As we look back at where Kyle Holden is running, it will be crucial to me to get a few spots on the short run. And when that car comes to in the long run, I think you'll see him do the same thing we've seen him do a couple of times here tonight.
Keep an eye on it here as you see some of these battle boxes pop up. Right now, Holden maintains 12th, in fact. Just pacing himself for the short run, as you would expect. Cabin Ruff also did not make it down pit road the first wave, as we mentioned before the break. And we know Ruff has a pretty solid race car. Looking to make some moves here. They're all scraping the walls, though, down to the front straightaway.
That's where you're trying to find speed. Off the corner, trying to run as wide as you can, trying to exit and get as much out of the race car as you can. And right here you see Ruff. He's going to do it again right there. Another trip to the outside wall for him, but he's continuing to roll that outside lane. First driver to make it work on this run is Ruff. He's going forward, and Kyle Holden, I'd imagine, is going to try to follow him here in the 88 in just a moment as he'll try to make a couple passes as well. Ruff's on the move up to 9th. Meanwhile, up in front of them, Warren Young is the car on the move right now in the early run. The one car is up to 6th and now working to challenge Wilson for the 5th spot.
Caution flag is out, though. We're back under yellow, and it involves Aaron Matthews. He goes around this time, was battling with Curry towards the back of the field. Let's take a look at your RS button boxes replay. And it looks like he just about cleared. He didn't.
Oh, man, tough break for Greg Carr right there, getting a piece for the guy we talked about earlier, running well. Had lost some spots on pit roads towards the tail end of the field and gets a piece of this. You'll see it looking back. I mean, it's not even that he was on the right rear. That was about 3 inches, I think, and he would have been clear going into the corner. He thought he was going to have it. He did not. Unfortunately, Carr is an innocent bystander.
Yeah. All coming from one pass attempt, not working out the way the 5 hoped for. And this battle was for about 20th. Give or take. So there it is right there. Yeah, just didn't fully clear like he was hoping. That puts us under the caution flag. So Matthews, Carr, and Paul Gallimore all coming down for respective repairs here with 113 to go. We'll say it's going to be difficult potentially for Kyle Holden to make sure he takes over this race lead again like on the lone run, because Matt Cox does have a comparable car to him. It's going to be interesting where things stack up at the end of the night here, especially if we get a long run and then a caution flag to really jumble things up, Dawson.
Well, I think that's the last thing that, Holden or Matt Cox want to see, because I think their cars are ultimately better the longer we're under the green flag. So the more cautions we have, I think just puts them in a worse and worse position. Holden especially. Matt Cox is up here at the front. At least could swing with these guys for a few laps if we get a late restart. Where Holden runs towards the 10th, 12th, 14th position, he's not exactly in a position where he can swing on the short run. He has to have this thing go long. It's where his car is the best. So Holden going to be a little more upset. I think Matt Cox will be okay if this thing continues, and he can continue ticking off laps led as well.
All right, on 1 to go. Coming up to the Simrat Market restart zone. Matt Cox, Alex Coffey up front. It's Brandon Blanky and Chris Davis, Warren Young and Blaine Wilson, Sean Rogers and Corey Moore, Brandon Fitter placing Kevin Ruff amongst your top 10. Green flag is out, and we're back underway. Good restart.
That's what you wanted there for Matt Cox.
Yeah, get yourself clear, set yourself up, Dawson.
I think we had the same thought at the same time for Matt Cox right there. We saw Coffey do it earlier, Wortman do it earlier. Restart's so crucial here, because then the guy behind you again has to expend more to go get you. Look at Warren Young in the 1. That car has come to life here in the late stages of this race. He jumps around Davis for 4th. He'll go on the attack for Bikey for the 3rd spot. Behind him coming through on the outside. This is a car we haven't seen all night really either. Sean Rogers in the 44's made his presence felt at the front, so we got a battle for the lead in 3. Alex Coffey to the inside of Matt Cox.
Coffey taking a poke. No dice yet. And Matt Cox not afraid to use the high line to defend here. Right now, Coffey has a decent amount of speed. In fact, he just set the fastest lap of the race. He's the only driver to run in the 15 flats tonight. Doesn't help him, though, because Matt Cox just powered his way back with a 15.101, his fastest lap of the race, as they battle behind him.
Man, it's just stunning how well that Warren Young, Sean Rogers, a couple of others have come to life in the late stages. Nick King's on the move behind them. That car was wrecked earlier in the 12 machine. He just re-entered the top 10 as he tries to get around Corey Moore for that 10th spot. Now goes on the attack of Blaine Wilson. And Holden is moving forward as well. Restarted back in 11th. He's up to the 7th position in the 88 as he moves forward as well. Right behind Sean Rogers in the 44. Just dropped a spot to Kevin Ruff. The 14 still very fast as well. You're on board with Holden, and this is exactly what he wants. He wants this race to continue exactly as it is right now, where he can pick cars off one at a time, and when this car comes to him, like it did in Stage 1 and Stage 2, look out. And I think that's why you're seeing Matt Cox also run a little bit harder, trying to run away, knowing that Kyle Holden is working through the field. He's seeing that. He knows that Kyle Holden is fast. He wants to run away, which is why he's just not backing up as much as leaders have in tonight's race.
Absolutely here. So 102 laps to be able to try and sort things out, though. That's plenty of time, even with Bristol, to be able to plot and plan. How are things going meanwhile for those who got repairs? Well, great car has been able to fix the nose. Actually got a decent amount of repairs done as he zips to the 28s. Inside, Curry nearly had an issue. Yeah, some of these drivers getting a lot of trouble. Curry is really slow. Something going on with the 28 where he is dragging the walls as Aaron Matthews having some problems there. It looks like Curry's coming down. He's got something wrong as the right front fender is cut.
Yeah, it's a tough break. I think it was from the second hit to the outside wall where he kind of dragged it, like you said. He really got it a ton, and I think knocked the suspension out of alignment, and it's going to force him to make an unscheduled green flag pit stop to repair some of the damage on that race car. So we look back up front. I'll tell you what, this has turned into a pretty good night for the guy we're looking at right there, Brendan Bikey. Now he's on the defense from the guys behind him, Warren Young, Kevin Ruff, Sean Rogers, and eventually Kyle Holden. But as of right now, P3 for Brandon Bikey will be plenty to get him into the round of 12 in tonight's race. Has not had the raw speed I think that he's needed to be up here in this position, but sometimes if a cycle goes the right way, you can get it done. But now he's under attack. Here comes Warren Young to the outside. I'll tell you what, this one car's got something on the long run, I think, for guys like Matt Cox and Kyle Holden. Not sure what adjustments that they made on their last pit stop, Young was fast at the end of stage 2. I think he's faster right now than he was at that point in the race. He's all the way up to 3rd position, plus 16 from his starting spot, equal to Matt Cox, who's leading the race. Young is on the move. He's going to coffee for 2nd. Warren Young may be in the conversation for the victory when all is said and done tonight.
Yeah, we were talking about him where he was showing decent speed, was running 11th about a stage or two ago. Curious what he made adjustment-wise here for him to turn it on all of a sudden. Although we'll say that middle line has been rolling more and more now that it's been rubbered in compared to earlier on.
Yeah, I think you're going to continue to see it, rubber in even more and more and more. More guys use it to make passes, and you'll see he's taking advantage of guys running the bottom. But the trade-off is his tires are going to age just a little bit more compared to the guys on the bottom. This battle continues, by the way, back here for the 10th position. Nick King and Corey Moore have been going at it for about the last 15 laps. King able to clear. Moore has gotten back to him a couple of different times as these two continue to go back and forth. Nick King, really good recovery for him tonight after that car was, again, backwards facing the field earlier. Could recover to get back inside the top 10 with that yellow and black Ford Mustang as he works past Corey Moore. Although, again, here comes Moore on the attack. Again, probably the best battle on the racetrack right now is between those two, as everything else is pretty much steadied out with 91 laps to go.
Field starting to separate indeed. 10th on back of lost a 2nd. Moore looking to take advantage of a move. A little bit quicker on the bottom. So the Warrior Machine trying as it might to hold on here, but the dig entry of Moore just that extra bit speedier this point of the run. Still 88 laps to go, and well, Capital Rough, he's made his way back up to 5th at least here. Doing a really good job. He's actually still hanging out in front of Holden, who's in that similar situation strategy-wise. But for how long, Holden is using the top to try and pick off cars here.
He just got Sean Rogers for 6th, so move him up to that position. Every position he gets here as his car starts to come to him is just going to mean more danger for the guys here up front in terms of when that car really gets to him. And I feel like in the last couple of stages, it's happened with about 25 laps to go, where that car really takes off and gets underneath him. That'd be about a 45-lap run. That would be somewhere in the realm of, about the next 15, 20 laps that we can expect Kyle Holden to kind of get that pace underneath. It might be earlier than that. He's underneath Ruff for the 5th spot. Kyle Holden starting to see the same late run speed that we saw earlier in the race. And oh, by the way, he's going to have about 40 more laps to do it than he did on the opening 2 stages of this race.
Yep, right now, Cabin Ruff maintains for now, though. 83 to go still. We'll say Warren Young still has been trying his might to find a way to poke around here. He's been attempting top every single time. You get the pattern. It is starting to spark things up a little bit, though. A little bit squirrely that time through. Lost him more ground here as the front 3 start to stagnate around each other. We'll say Kyle Holden still picking up spots. I think it's Kyle Holden time, is it not? That's around where the tires turn on for him.
Yeah, I said about 10 or 15 laps in terms of the run that he would need. It did not take him even that long now with 80 to go. He has got basically 80 laps where that car is going to be in the best possible condition. He's gotten by Ruff for 5th. He very easily got by Brandon Bikey. I mean, these were not even competitions for these 2 spots. He's catching these next 2. And this is why Matt Cox built the 6/10 buffer that he has, and probably why he's run a little harder on this set of tires, is because he knew this would happen. And late in stage 2, we saw this happen. He had to run down Kyle Holden. He's going to try to put Kyle Holden in the spot where he is the chaser, but he's quickly catching these next 2 cars. It's unbelievable to me it's almost like a switch flips inside that car, and it all of a sudden starts cornering better than anyone else on the racetrack. You can see it in the center. Watch, see if we can see it right here with Holden out behind the one of Warren Young. Just watch how much better he corners compared to the cars in front of him.
Really seeing that play out here. Here comes the move for third. And Kyle Holden keeps marching forward, picking up spot after spot. We'll see how he shapes up against Matt Cox pretty soon, because that seems to be the point.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. 75 to go. It's not a long time. You don't have a ton of time if you're holding to run down Cox. You're a second and a half back as of right now. And on the left side of your screen, Cox continues to run the best lap times in the field as well. So we'll see if that comes to play out as well. As we get into the later stages of this run, as Matt Cox made a similar adjustment here, identical lap times there. So maybe Matt Cox has found something in his car as well that neutralizes Kyle Holden's adjustment just a little bit.
1 second, the gap. Oh, look at this traffic jam. Warren Young loses a lot of ground from it. All of a sudden, the one is going backwards like a parachute just got attached to it. What's going on with the one as Blaine Wilson's next in line?
Well, I think you're seeing the punishment, the consequences for trying so many times to work the top lane. We had seen it earlier with a couple different cars kind of shredding their tires off, trying to run the top side of the racetrack. You're seeing it in real time, I think, with Warren Young. He's suffering the consequences, and unfortunately it's going backwards now as all the guys behind him that just manage their equipment are starting to kind of see their cars come to life later in the run. So tough break for Warren Young. And you can see there on the left side of your screen, see those lap times. He is consistently half a tenth to a tenth off the guys around him in terms of lap times. That's what happens when you jeopardize the tires moving up there, and right now, unfortunately, he's on the back end of that.
One going the wrong way. Holden is now in second. So we're talking about that. Was able to pull away from Coffey. Coffey went way up the track and let him have it. Holden going to need a trim down 1.2, 1.3 seconds though. Now that he's in clean space, ran a tenth quicker than this car. So Holden is getting time knocked down in clean space consistently to try and get to your race leader.
Here's the issue for Kyle Holden here as it work off turn 4, 66 laps to go. The time's not on his side, and the other thing that's not on his side is, we've seen this play out tonight. Getting there is one thing, passing at the Bristol Motor Speedway is another thing completely. Even if Holden's able to get to the back bumper of Matt Cox, how willing is he to use the bumper to get around the 32? Is he willing to do that, or is he going to try to run as clean as possible and get around Matt Cox that way? That's a whole different conversation. He got slowed up by lap traffic right there. That's going to lose him 4, 5, 6 tenths to the race leader. As they work back into turn 1, he's got to regain all that ground again and just does not have a lot of laps left to do that.
Did see Holden lose a ton of ground during your point, by the way, though, Dawson, because he reached lap traffic, nearly ran over a car and shade, and now is trying to reset, losing 3/4 tenths as a result of a checkup. It's a near close call with car. Shade had been on the high side of the next car up, and now Holden is 1.5 back instead of only 1.2.
Yeah, and again, just time is just not on his side with Cox still running good laps. I'm a little surprised to how fast Matt Cox has been able to run here on this late run. Man, Johnny Shade is struggling badly in the 45 here. He has gone another lap down. He's down to 2 laps down the 19th spot, and he has just clobbered the outside wall time after time off the corner. A night that looked promising has gone the wrong way for the 45. Unfortunately, it appears it will be the end of his journey in the playoffs as well if it continues on like this. And you can just tell that car is hurt. It continues to get more hurt every time he gets that outside wall. Well, the car is looking up here. Nick King, we talked about him a little bit in the 12. Paul Gallimore, it's not been the night, I think, for Gallimore that he wanted. still should be enough theoretically to advance him to the next round, but not the night I'm sure that he wanted, especially after a pair of good finishes the last couple weeks.
Seeing some of the others making some moves. Paul Gallimore right now trying to recover from the incidents tonight. Has gone at least back to his starting spot, Dawson. It's been a bit of a disastrous night for the 11, but shouldn't see him slip out of the points if the tallies are correct here. Would still be in the green zone, even with some of the struggles, as long as he doesn't crash the car out here.
Yeah, and I know it's tough as a driver. I've kind of been in positions in these point battles where you know you want to be further up. It's always uncomfortable to know you just don't have raw speed, or maybe the night's just not gone your way. Gallimore's been in a couple of incidents tonight, so you're in a tough spot as a driver where you know you want to be further up in order to make yourself more comfortable. But, you know, at the same time, sometimes, you know, races just don't work out that way, and now you just have to manage. You just have to get yourself to the checkered flag and then go from there. We're looking at Jose Medina. It's really interesting here. This group of cars with Matthews, Medina, and Nigel Christensen is right in front of the race leader. Matt Cox is about to get into some of the heaviest lap traffic we have seen all night tonight so far. And this is going to be really interesting, is how does he negotiate lap cars? Is Holden able to gain some time when Matt Cox gets into some really competitive lap cars? Some of these are lead lap cars that he's about to try to negotiate with. They're not going to be very willing to go one lap down to the race leader, as Matthews, he gave it to him a little easier than I thought there. Cars in front of this will not be as easy to pass.
See that right here, Christensen just trying to stay out of the way at this point. They've also got Jose Medina, Nick Kane, Barry Sanders, whole wave of lap cars. In fact, they're battling for position right now in front of the leader. This is not exactly what Matt wants to see here. How will he handle this as Christensen goes around? Around goes the 20. Caution flag is out.
And this was right in front of the leader, and Matt Cox, I mean, he got the first-hand reaction to this as it happened right on his front bumper, basically. As we look back at a replay, the RS Button Boxes replay will give us another look at what we just saw live, and you're watching from the leader as they battled in front of him. You're going to see Christensen get out of shape and go around and get to the inside wall. It's the same type of incident we have seen all night. He stabs the throttle, the car kicks around. Boy, that was close for Matt Cox right there. I didn't think it was quite as close as it was to him getting a piece of that, potentially incurring some damage as well.
And so, puts us under caution, and this time no pit snafus. Everybody came down once pit road open. Paul Gallimore picks up an EOL penalty. Now we'll really see what Holden's got for the short to mid run. With him going to be challenged here. Matt Cox has been quicker at that part of the run. Cabin Ruff just got an EOL penalty here too. As no issues for Matt Cox on pit road. He'll come out first, Holden in second. No surprises with Coffey in the third spot.
Yeah, nothing crazy here off the pit lane in terms of who is going to lead the race. You made a good point about Holden. We'll see if he makes any adjustments there as well to maybe kind of shift the speed to the short run, or the mid run, I guess, is what this is going to end up being. You know, and there's other cars I think that were really good on the short run too. Sean Rogers was good on the short run. Bikey has a good car on the short run. You know, we've talked about Alex Coffey as well, though I think the 54 has maybe received a penalty here on pit road as well. Man, a lot of front runners have incurred some pit road penalties that are going to be crucial to the end of this race. Coffey got one of them. We talked about Gallimore getting an end-of-line penalty. We talked about a couple other cars, Cabin Ruff getting them as well. Those are guys that were inside the top 10 on the racetrack when they came to pit road and have now been penalized.
Field coming around 47 laps to go. It's been an interesting night here from Bristol for tonight's coverage of the RAM Welding and Fabrication 300. This field no longer will have to worry about fuel. It's just going to be the matter of how you use those couple sets of tires left to go if we get more cautions. Matt Cox kind of holding up at the front. It appears Alex Coffey got an ELO penalty from his race off pit road, in fact, so he'll go to the back. Instead, it'll be Sean Rogers and Brandon Bikey in row 2. Wilson Davis, Jan Wyatt, Fetter Place Moore, Medina King amongst the top 12 for this restart. Simrat Market restart zone time. Green flag is out. 45 laps to go. Off to a good start here as Holden gets a bump from Bikey. The BMP machine looking to try and run. This is the best track position Holden's had all night, though, in his fight as they battle behind him.
And you got to think Holden may have made an adjustment here, like I mentioned, to be better on the short run than he was on the long run, just tweaking the setup underneath the hood to try to make this thing better, considering the situation that he's in now. Brandon Bikey's putting some pressure on these guys up here as well. Third on the racetrack for Brandon Bikey right now. Here's the battle for the lead. Holden took a nose to the inside of Matt Cox for the race lead. As Bikey watches on, he may try to take advantage of this as well. Another nose to the inside. Holden is there. This car has jumped to life a little earlier in the run than we've seen earlier in this race. And he's challenging Matt Cox here with just 41 to go. 260 up on the board at Bristol, and it's a battle for the win and potentially battle for the final playoff spots out back of these guys as well. Bikey stays close. Chris Davis is kind of pulling through this. Shane Wyatt is up as high as he's been tonight in 5th, with Sean Rogers there as well. But all eyes up front as Holden tries to crack the code that is Matt Cox. This is the best this car has looked on the short run all night. It's turning like it does on the long run, is the 88.
Yeah, 14.9s right now is what he's running. A little bit quicker than the 32. The problem is getting alongside neither side, willing to change up their line at risk of burning up the tires here. And Holden just trying to figure out what's he going to do here in this chess match. Cox now stretching out, just responded with himself, picking up some pace on the setup with Holden backing off. See them just rumbling their way through with 36 to go this coming time by. Brandon Bikey, by the way, still hanging out in the 3rd spot. He's had a very quiet night. How would this end up if he's able to park it and hold on to a top 3?
Well, it'd be righting all the wrongs, not only tonight, but I think of just this first round. It's been a little bit turbulent, I think would be the right word to describe this round of 16 for Brandon Bikey. And just to end it on this kind of note, if he can hold on to this spot for 35 more laps, I think he'd be perfectly satisfied with that. He'd be racing in the playoffs again next week. His season would continue on for another race. So I think Bikey would take it, considering the night he's had and the round he's had overall in that 27, and he's holding on to position about as well as we've seen tonight. Pretty early in the race, he would hold on to positions for a few laps and start to backslide. So far, so good for him, though, on this last one. We watch a battle towards the tail end of the top 15, man. Aaron Matthews, bit of a big moment there off the corner as Kevin Ruff works by him, as Ruff tries to recover what he can out of this night. In the 14. He's been fast all night, got a penalty there on pit road, has gone awry just a little bit, but trying to recover what he can, man. Aaron Matthews is really struggling here. That's another big slide for him.
He's had a really rough night. Matthews has, absolutely, here. Car's wounded, just not been handling the best tonight in his aero machine compared to his teammates. It's going to be, by the end here for the 5, a nightmarish end to his Bristol. But for others that needed decent runs, Blaine Wilson has been doing decent all evening here. Still running top 5. This would be a decent points haul, but will it be actually enough by the points calculation is going to be the big question, especially to Fetter Place.
Well, and again, it's made even more interesting by some cars that are not running very well that are in the playoffs tonight. We talked about Kenny Coppola. I think that's the one to watch coming into the night. Wilson was 21 points behind the Coppola machine coming into this race. Now, with him running in the 5th spot, he is 19 spots ahead of Coppola. Oh, by the way, he picked up 5 points in stage 1. That would be enough to advance him into the round of 12. Trouble! Around goes Alex Coffey right in front of Nick King in the 12, and they draw a late caution as Coffey goes for a spin. A rare mistake on the part of the Dig Esports driver.
And we're back under yellow as a result here, and this changes a lot. RS Punter Boxer's replay had just cleared by Kane. Believe he got loose here, Dawson.
Well, it looked like it to me. We'll see it here off the corner, and oh yeah, he's loose before he ever gets back on the throttle. It almost looks like there in the 54 gets hit in the square in the tail end there by Nick King. So again, to avoid the wall and to not hit the inside wall, to not get much damage on Nick King there either, you got to be pretty lucky if you're Alex Coffey. But obviously, going for a slide, you flat spot the tires, you lose a bunch of track position as well.
Watch it right here. Just steps out. King can't respond. And puts us under yellow. Half the field pit, Dawson. Half did not. Lane Wilson was the first of those who pit this wave. This is now going to get really interesting with green flag laps going to be 20 laps difference. And the rest of the field up front at least has made their beds.
And a couple guys even further back, I think, that weren't up towards the lead have kind of made this call as well. Aaron Matthews, who we just saw a moment ago have those struggles on his car, he's up to 7th. He stays out right here. Brandon Fetterplace was running in the back half of the top 15. He stayed out on this caution. And then, of course, 4 cars towards the front, Cox, Holden, and Bikey. I think it was a given those 3 were going to keep the track position. But Sean Rogers does as well from the 6th spot as well. So the first car on tires will be Davis in 7th with only going to be 22 laps to go. I just don't know how much time you'll have. You have to basically run hard for the entire last 22 laps. If that benefits anybody, in terms of what we've seen tonight on short run speed, Davis has been pretty good. Blaine Wilson's been pretty good. Shane Wyatt, I think, has been really good on short runs. We talked about Coffey and Cabin Ruff as well. Mulligan for Cabin Ruff in this race also. So some guys good on short runs that can now just pin it and go. They don't have to save much anymore, and that could mean danger for the guys at the front. The first 4 laps to me are going to be really crucial. If Davis, Wilson, Wyatt, etc. can make a couple passes, watch out. If you're Matt Cox or Kyle Holden, you'll have some company here at the front.
Coming up to the Simrat Market restart zone, Kyle Holden start on the outside, Matt Cox on the inside. 23 laps to go from Bristol. Sean Rogers, Brandon Bikey, Brandon Fetterplace, and Aaron Matthews also amongst those who stayed out. We'll see if track position matters or if the fresher tires will. First on the tires, Davis and Wilson. Green flag is out. The BMP entry is off and away. Brad Bikey, the teammate to Matt Cox, going for second. He takes it away.
Wow, power move by Brandon Bikey, a car that really has not had a ton of short run speed or really a ton of any speed so far in this race. Made a big move right there and now is in a really good spot, but runs up the hill. In the corner is out back. We watch for the tires, and they're moving and moving quickly. Chris Davis in the 74, one of the cars on New Goodyears, is up around Fetter Place now for 4th position after just 2 laps under green. Chris Davis coming trouble. Shane Wyatt around right in front of Aaron Matthews. The caution, I think, was going to get drawn, but we stayed green. Now I think it's going to come out as more cars pile in behind them. No, still no caution. Now there it is with 19 to go.
Paul Gallimore was stopped to the racetrack after they stacked up behind him, and we're under yellow again. Tires definitely may have been the call there for Davis in particular, but let's see what happened right here. The 11 machine was the trigger, but the stack up was here with Wyatt going loose.
Well, you see out back, guys just spinning, getting into it. Gallimore gets into Barry Sanders as Wyatt got the outside wall, and he's going to get the raw end of it here. So is Sanders. As Wyatt got up in the outside wall, you're going to see them stack up in front of the 11. You're going to get a great look at what starts it. There's Wyatt, and now watch Barry Sanders spin, trying to avoid it, and gets into the 11 of Gallimore. Gallimore, that's the only hit he took, which I think is the good part for him. But obviously did not want that outcome. You'll see Wyatt here. He got the wall off turn 4, and I think it's just going to roll up that way again. Man, it's almost a carbon copy of what his teammate Alex Coffey just did a moment ago.
Yeah. Johnny Shea picking up an yellow penalty into pit road, but cautions breed cautions, and tire differences spark chaos. Now, it's Chris Davis's race to potentially lose if he keeps up the pace here with that fire off. The thing is, if it's caution breed caution, we might get too many heat cycles into the tires here too, Dawson.
Yeah, I think he really wanted that to stay green there. He had the field dead to rights, and obviously did not have a ton of laps to pass these 3 cars, but was very clearly faster than all 3 of these race cars up front. So I think he would rather have seen that stay green. Now he'll have to kind of relaunch and try to get going again, get some warmth in these tires, and hope the guys in front of him aren't able to cool theirs off a ton on the longer run on those older Goodyear Eagles. So kind of curious to see how that dynamic plays out. We saw a couple other cars come to pit road that they have not been able to make as much headway. Blaine Wilson is only 7th. And then from there on back, our guys took tires. Moore, Coffey, Young, Medina, Ruff, King, Christensen actually came down to take tires. He's in a pretty good spot now as well, where he's been a lap down most of the night. He's battled back inside the top 15. So a number of cars here that are on tires, but it's taking him a little too long to get fired off. Davis, I think, is in the best spot of anybody. And boy, if he gets a good restart, look out.
Let's find out how this fares out here. 15 laps to go. Inside line, Holden this time. Matt Cox on the outside. Green flag is out. Chris Davis gets the fire off. Chris Davis up to 2nd. And now it's the question, how does he now handle things for the lead? He's not afraid to use the high line. Nearly spun the car.
Oh, man, that you talk about nail biting right there. He missed it again in 1 and 2, and Holden's going to go back by him. So Davis not able to really get the car to grab the racetrack here, and he's in a battle as the caution flags out again, and cautions breed cautions one more time. 14 laps to go.
Davis did not have a fun time there. He slipped back to 3rd, and believe it was Warren Young, yes it was, who put us under caution. Cautions continue to get sparked. Bit of a hard hit to the inside wall. That's going to move him to pit road here with that nose hit. That's just been a common issue for some of the drivers here at Bristol in general.
Well, and newer tires as well. They're not warmed up yet. You haven't kind of had an opportunity to get them up to temp and run some laps, and this is exactly what can happen. Those rear tires can slide, make the car kick out, and get the back end upset, and it goes down to the inside wall. Look, you want to talk about a close call? How about this for Jose Medina in the 48? Almost thankful that he kind of has a gap between he and Kevin Ruff right here off the corner. Look at how close this is right here. He literally fits through the gap between those 2 cars. About as lucky as you can get if you're Medina or Kevin Ruff right there.
Now this will set us up for a restart with under 10 laps to go likely. Right now, Chris Davis did get the scoring loop, so he will start 2nd here. It's been challenging for him to maintain grip though, Dawson. He's been getting slippery off the corner exits.
Well, yeah, and Matt Cox has been really dynamite on these restarts as well in terms of how well he can fire off. And with under 10 laps to go at Bristol, that could be all she wrote. You don't have a ton of time. 15-second laps, less than 10 laps to go. It's not a lot of time to make up the ground that you lose on the restart. And Cox has been able to grab a 6 to 8 car length lead just by firing off. Now, if If you're Chris Davis, you can look to your right. You could try to fire off at the same time, assuming that Cox, of course, takes the outside lane here. I expect him to. You can try to fire off at the same time. You obviously can't go too early, though, or you risk jumping the start. Let's see where Cox decides he'll want to restart here, and maybe he'll go against his better judgment and go to the inside of the racetrack here. So a different decision for Matt Cox on this restart will grant Davis the outside, the faster line on new tires. Interesting decision, but we'll see if Cox gets a good enough restart like he has on the previous couple of attempts.
So a 9-lap dash coming up as we come up to the Sim Wrap Market restart zone. Cox, Davis, Holden, Bikey. BMP controlling things up front with 3 of the top 4 spots. Green flag is out. Davis didn't go. Holden got a better launch for second. Side by side they go. Coming around 8 laps to go. Holden retakes second.
Yeah, but how long is it going to last with Davis running up on the outside? Man, that 74 just cannot get the tires to grab by any means here on this late run. Holding to the back bumper of Matt Cox. We're going to battle for it here at Bristol. Next time by 7 to go. Holden going to dive it up on the outside, trying to poke a nose around Matt Cox. Battle for the lead in turn 1 as Davis looks on from third.
Corey Moore just had an issue, had to come down pit road. They still battle up front. Now it's Davis trying to reset high side. Got the fender out, but again, missed the cushion. Nearly slammed the wall. Right now, Matt Cox in control. Nobody can get the run yet high side. 5 laps to go.
And now Cox can settle in and try to drive away. I'm not sure Kyle Holden's going to get a better opportunity than that to get back to Matt Cox. If he does, you'd have to imagine you'd have to be willing to use the bumper here. If you're the Kyle Holden machine, if you can manage to get close enough to throw it into turn 3. We saw Brad Keselowski try this last Saturday night on Christopher Bell in turn 3 just by getting close enough. At this point, though, coming back to 3 laps to go, I just do not think he will get close enough to Matt Cox. Cox is driving away 3 more circuits around Bristol.
Right now, Cox maintains the fight up front. Right now, builds the buffer. 2 laps to go. Matt Cox didn't lead early on, but is now, at this point, been the dominant force. 124 laps led. By the end of the night, it'll be 126. He's coming around to the white flag this time by 1 lap to go. Brought to you by League Gaming. Davis not able to find his way around for second. All while Matt Cox, who's been fast all season, he rolls his way through 3 and 4. Matt Cox once again puts together a run and wins at Bristol. His 6th win of the season, a series high.
That's exactly what it takes to win at Bristol. You see the track change, you see your car change, make a couple of adjustments and your car can come to life, and that's exactly what happened for Cox. He got a well-earned burnout here on the front stretch. He pretty well dominated the last 100 laps of this one.
Great night for the 32, showed his short run speed all evening. Now gets to burn it on down as your winner tonight. He'll go to Van Looy Stickers victory lane for his efforts in the RAM Welding and Fabrication 300. So while he does his Polish victory lap, take a step aside. We come back, post-race results. You're watching tonight's coverage of the Precision Production Network here from Bristol.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage here from Bristol. As we get ready for post-race results, a look and seeing how this field plays things out tonight. Matt Cox, Kyle Holt, and Chris Davis get top threes in the very end for this run this evening. Blaine Wilson and Sean Rogers get top fives. Mikey, Better Place, Coffee, Matthews, and Young are a part of your top 10.
Nick King, pretty good run for him in 11th. The recovery for him, I think, is the big story of the night. Same for Jose Medina and Paul Gallimore, 12th and 13th. Gallimore doing enough, I believe, to advance to the round of 12. Nigel Christensen probably in the same boat, 14th. Greg Carr had good runs at points tonight. Unfortunately, the finish is not going to reflect how good that car was at points in this race. He goes 15th. Shane Wyatt finishes 16th as he's already locked in next week as well. Kevin Ruff never recovered from the penalty. Barry Sanders did not recover from his incidents either. They go 17th, 18th. Johnny Shade's playoff run unfortunately ends here in the round of 16 with a 19th place finish, but Corey Morris continues with a 20th place effort for the 19.
21st goes the way of Tim Warman Jr. Could have been potentially a punch ticket. Instead, it's a punched-in car. Brian Curry, Ryan Huff, Kenny Coppola, and Matt Mackin, part of the DNF list tonight here from Bristol. So top to bottom at the running order here tonight in this one. But in the end, Matt Cox not only makes sure he's in the round of 12 with the victory, he has the series leading total for victory. 6 wins, Matt. How are you feeling after leading more than 100-plus laps?
Tired. There's a lot of load in these cars, and you really got to crank the wheel to get it around the track. So, yeah, my arms are feeling like spaghetti.
Talk to us about the progression from tonight, going from a 4-minute qualifying lap to victory lane.
Yeah, we just missed the setup on qualifying, I guess. Couldn't really get it around the track much quicker than that. So, really worked on the race run pace and had good long run speed and good short run speed. So, got it right tonight.
What's your approach now going to be for the round of 12, especially knowing now pressure's definitely going to be on to make sure you move for the cut, and there's some wild cards like the Roval as the cutoff race.
Yeah, just hopefully have clean races. I've got I'll have pretty good cushion to fall back on, but just got to try to finish the races well enough and should be good to get to the next round. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Famous last words, I guess.
Any shout you'd like to give here tonight?
All the boys, B&P, shout out Kyle. Fun racing him there. He's pretty quick there, and we had a pretty good back and forth for a little bit. All the guys, Moonshiners, Barry, putting it on.
Congratulations on the run here tonight, Matt.
Thank you.
Matt Cox comes away with the race victory tonight. Kyle Holden comes away in second. He's with Dawson.
Yeah, Kyle Holden, a good run for him tonight in the second position. Led a ton of laps, swept the stages. A good night for you. I know how badly as a driver myself, victory lane is always, where you want to end up. But I can't imagine you're too disappointed with the second place run tonight. A ton of speed underneath that Simrat market number 88.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely take P2 all day. It's been a rough 8 weeks for us. We haven't really finished a race in any of our leagues, so glad to finish one finally. We were just kind of starting from the back and saving our tires, just hitting the bottom and running our line throughout the whole runs. And luckily, we were just able to save enough to get by everyone and get those couple of stage wins. But that last stage was pretty tricky with Matt being in front. He knows how to control that air pretty well. And you just can't really get anywhere with it. So we were doing our best, and a couple of those restarts, we got shuffled back to P3. But overall, great race by everybody. You're surprised when you get a green flag race at Bristol. Usually it's a caution fest, so we'll take this one.
Well, look, this car had been so good on the long runs tonight. Obviously, the end of stage 1 into stage 2, this car came to life. And in stage 3, we thought it was going to be the same story. We get some cautions, and it looked like the car fired off better and was better in the short run. Was it adjustments on pit road? Was it in your mechanics? Was it in your aggression level? What went into the kind of the change that we saw out of the 88 late in the run?
That last pit stop we made, I did not take enough fuel. I should have taken a full tank, and I only filled it up to 16 gallons, thinking that the lighter weight would help it go around the track a little bit. But instead, it was great to fire off the first 2 laps, and then it just got super loose, and I had to be extremely patient on throttle to exit there. Even going high, it didn't want to keep turning. You just had to use throttle, and then when you did that, it just wanted to spin around. So it was really tricky. Should have taken more fuel, but overall, I think we did the right things and just keep our car in one piece.
Well, look, you mentioned obviously that it's been a pretty rough go of it here over the last several weeks. Obviously, a run like tonight, talk to the viewers about what that does for a driver's mentality when you kind of get back on track. Just talk everyone through kind of what that's like from the driver's position, coming away from a race like this and what you can now take going on forward to next week.
Yeah, definitely. You could take some, dirty air notes, understanding how the dirty air works. It's everywhere. So take away those notes. Always keep your left front underneath if you can. If they're not going to be able to, go up high, get some air on the splitter. But definitely just keeping your car in one piece. It seems to be one of the key factors into finishing pretty well in pretty much any league right now, it seems, with this new update. So keep your car in one piece, play it safe, be cautious, don't overdrive it, and I think you should be good for the end.
A great run for you tonight, obviously sweeping the stages in a P2 finish. Really complete night for you tonight at Bristol. Before we let you go, are there any thank yous or shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, huge thanks to Cameron at Simrat Market for being on the car. Always head over there for your paint needs. You got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of templates that you can work with, customize and all that. Huge thanks to Barry for putting on the league. Huge thanks to you, DJ, and all them for being in the booth, and just everyone showing up week in and out.
I appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to us for a second. Congratulations on the second place run tonight at Bristol.
Appreciate it.
Once again, Kyle Holden coming away second tonight. Chris Davis came away with the third spot here tonight. Chris, we thought maybe you were going to have the chance to pull forward here. Fresher tires by 20 laps. What happened, though? It seemed like you hit a brick wall once you got the top 3.
Yeah, I made a mistake and didn't tighten the car back up whenever I took those tires. So light fuel load, plus I'd already made the car looser for that longer run we was having. So it was just a little too loose. I couldn't get the throttle down, and that kind of killed me there. But it was definitely a good run for me anyway.
Yeah, how would you describe the difficulty to be able to make your way through sometimes tonight? Because this seemed like a challenging racetrack to pass.
Yeah, the aero of the car just makes it so hard. I mean, even if you save tires, obviously you could see that once you got on the high side, it was hard for anybody to pass you on the bottom, except for whenever I burnt my tires up real bad at the end of the stage 2 there. But it's just a hard track to pass with the way they have it set up. So starting in the back, I was surprised I was able even to get up there towards the front, but with the playoffs going like they are, I'm glad I was able to.
So with that being said here, what's the approach now going to be for you in the round of 12 to try and get yourself into the round of 8?
Just keep running like I am. Try to get some decent finishes. Not the greatest at New Hampshire, but getting to Kansas and a few more of those like that, I feel real confident. We should be able to be up there battling for the win the whole time.
Any shots you'd like to give here tonight?
I'd like to shout out BMP, O.B Builders, GMD Janitorial. Got to give a big thanks to Barry Sanders for the league. Plus, he helped me with some practice this week because I was struggling horribly. So, big shout out to him and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Congratulations on the run here tonight.
I appreciate it, guys.
Chris Davis comes away with a solid finish to the night. Like, thank the top 3 for speaking with us during post-race coverage here on the Precision Production Network. Your final thoughts on tonight, Dawson, as we get ready for the Magic Mile next week with a round of 12 visit for the field. Still, just one thing to mention, though, the points. We just got the unofficial results. Drivers out. Kenny Coppola falls out is the projection, with Wortman Jr., Shade, and Taylor out. So the 77 fell with the DNF by 2 points to Nigel Christensen. Dawson.
Yeah, I'll start with obviously tonight. I'll go into next week and my expectations as well. Tonight, about what I expected: attrition, kind of a war at times for some guys in the playoffs, and it was bound to take at least one driver that was good in quotes on points tonight and kind of flip their season upside down, and it ended up being Kenny Coppola. So a tough break for the 77. Obviously, that is just such a gutting way for your season to end, really in no fault of your own for that 77 machine. So a tough break there. A couple guys in by the skin of their teeth, +2. It's as close as it gets unofficially. So Bristol with the attrition with the tires, it's exactly what I expected. And a heck of a race by both Matt Cox and Kyle Holden at the end. They put on a show for us really across the final 100 laps. So a fun one at Bristol. Another unique oval coming up. Man, it just feels like we keep tacking on these unique oval tracks, 4 straight. Obviously Darlington, Gateway, Bristol, and now New Hampshire. It's another place that's just so interesting. The lines that you can run there down on the apron and, kind of doing some funky things there to get yourself some grip. That place is so fun to watch guys negotiate, and it starts a new round as well. Some more playoff clarity coming to us, and it'll be clarity as long as obviously we go through next week, and then Kansas and the Charlotte Roval back in as well to give us some more chaos to look forward to also.
See what happens next time out for New Hampshire next week. Start time again, 8 p.m. Eastern. But for Dawson Wise and for DJ Line, it's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for tonight's coverage of the Precision Production Network's broadcast of the O.B. Builders Cup Series. Happy with us tonight. I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the RAM Welding and Fabrication 300 from Bristol.